Whoop, whoop. What up? No, this is another episode of Knockouts and Three Counts, but you already know the deal. Before we get to that, I got to tell you about the homies over at Potter's Tree Service. Shout out to Asa. We were just kicking it at Breaking Benjamin recently, but with all these storms that are going around right now, if you're in the need for tree services, look no further than the homies over at Potter's Tree Service. If you need tree trimming, if you need walnut logging, if you need lot clearing, if you need just getting your damn grass cut, Potter's Tree Service is the way to go. Tell Asa that Knockouts and Three Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're not going to need Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You're not going to need a 2x4. You're not going to do any of that. Asa might even make you your own 2x4. But use Potter's Tree Service. Tell him Knockouts and Three Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to enjoy the show with tonight's guest, Caleb Konely, talking JCW and everything in between. So stay tuned.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
What up? No, this is another episode of Knockouts and Three Counts, and you see the hat. J-Bone's got it down. Let's go Lions in this bitch.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
with
Lions and Tigers. Lions and Tigers.
Right, and we won the first game of the playoffs today. It's a good day for Detroit sports, but it's also a good day because we've got another debut episode for you on the show tonight. We got the debut of Caleb Konely, man. Thanks for the time. Appreciate you coming through.
What's going on, guys?
Can't complain, man. We're still getting the tail end of summer here as we just got into fall here in Michigan, because I still stick by what I said. I feel like Michigan has the most bipolar weather of any state I've ever been in terms of it can be 80 degrees one day and fucking 30 in the same day. So, I mean, Michigan weather never fails to disappoint. But all in all, man, we're doing pretty good. Like J-Bone said, we're all kind of on a high with the Lions and the Tigers doing their thing. And, we're also getting ready for what you guys got to come with JCW and all that stuff. But, hey, before you come to Detroit, you were telling us you're getting ready to go across the pond, dude. So let us know what you got going on over in England.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow at noon, I'm boarding a flight to London. I will be over there until the 27th. I'm going to be all over. I've got shows in England, France, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. So just all over the place. You can, I've got the list on my phone, but it's too many and I can't ever remember them. So I'm on my phone right now, so I can't use it. But if you look at my social media at Caleb Konely, I will be
do that
all the time.
How long is that flight to the UK? What's that like?
Flight, I believe, is 6 hours. I believe.
Oh, it's not so bad.
Plus, there's like a 5-hour difference, so you're basically like a day ahead once you get there.
Okay.
Dude, I got to get to England at some point, but that's as great a way as any, as something that I wanted to talk to you about. I mean, people have seen you do your thing with NWA. We've seen you do stuff with Impact. Now we're talking about tonight with Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Talk to me about, as a guy who's still able to be out on the indies and everything like that as well, like, talk to me about the state of wrestling from your point of view, man, because I feel like in most places wrestling's in a boom, whether it's WWE, AEW, whichever ones you want to talk about, man. TNA is doing great things. What are your thoughts on where we're at right now in the wrestling game?
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. Wrestling is in a boom. It's a little different than it has been in the past, where it was just WWE or nothing. You know, there's always been like the fight for a second place or a third place, but right now you have basically wrestling every day of the week on TV. I mean, you've got JCW's running a show every Wednesday, obviously. You got AEW's running every other day, WWE, MLW, TNA. You know, they just every day there is something to watch, and it's really cool for not only the fans to be able to keep up with all that, but it's also cool for the professional wrestlers themselves to have a ton of places to work and can actually like make a living doing it.
Hell yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in from Body Slam. I see about 105 of you guys in here right now. If you guys got any questions as we get through this chat, make sure you drop them in the comments or let us know on Twitter so I can know what y'all want to talk about. But, dude, that's one thing that has just been so awesome. I mean, I first, you know, it's ironic we're talking about an ICP show because originally the first pay-per-view I remember watching was SummerSlam 98, I believe, and that was
where they came out with the oddities.
Yeah.
I still have that on VHS. I found it in a video store up north and shit. And it's funny. I still have it on tape to this day, but it's one of those things. I just saw Violent J talking about that. Shout out to the homie. Always see him here in Michigan and all those good things. But with that being said, dude, talk to me. How did you get linked up with ICP, bro? Like, how did you get linked up with them, JCW? And what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far from JCW Lunacy?
Man, honestly, it was just luck, right place at the right time. I've known Kerry Morton since he was like 6 years old. He was, one of the people in charge there. Colt Cabana, I've known him for basically my entire career. Also, we've become friends.
Past guest of the show.
We did $5 wrestling stuff together. I, did some Ring of Honor stuff with him. He helped me out, pitched my name, and I was the right place at the right time. I had a really good match with Facade on the second episode, and I could have just easily been somebody who was on one show and had an okay match and never came back. That happens all the time in wrestling. But I had a really good match with Facade and Violent J, and the management took notice of it, and now I'm the American Juggalo champion.
Hell yeah, dude. What a title name, first of all.
Right?
All right.
I'm about to be an American Juggalo in London.
Hey,
so
that might get over right there. That's a good.
Hey, bro, that's something different. Definitely over there. Shout out to Derek from CU Communications, man. I've been knowing that dude since the first Starcast we worked like 6 years ago. So fuck yeah, shout out to Derek. But with that being said, dude, talk to me about that. So were you an ICP guy like prior to working with them?
Yeah, man, definitely. I've always been a professional wrestling fan. I've always been into, odd, different kinds of music, hip hop, metal, whatever it may be. And I was a gigantic ECW fan as a kid. I wasn't really supposed to watch it. It was on like a public access channel in Atlanta growing up. It was kind of like watching porn. I would just switch the channel when my mom was out of the room and it'd be on and I'd watch it. She'd come back in and I'd change the channel. I wasn't supposed to watch it. Like she knew I watched WCW, but that was kid stuff. This was This was gritty. So I remember ICP popping up on ECW, and that was right around the time Greg Malenko came out, and they had all the whole thing where Hollywood Records banned their CD. So I was already, as a 12-year-old, like I had never even heard this band before, but I was already a fan just because of like all the controversy. They were into the same things I was in. They looked different. I was a gigantic Sting and Muta and the Road Warriors fan. I loved anybody with face paint. So these guys came out with dreadlocks and face paint. And, I was basically hooked right then, man. Got in, I was JCW. I was a Stranglemania kid. I had the original before they even did Stranglemania. I had the original, like the Japanese version on, I don't know, what do you call them? A tape trader. Like there used to be all tape trading back in the day. And I'd have like a 6-hour VHS of just random ass Japanese death matches. And that was like the coolest thing in the world to me.
Dude,
so, I mean, honestly, to me, it feels like this is destiny.
We always, as wrestling fans, we always compare the early ECW days to like porn.
It was, man.
It's so funny because everybody does it.
Came on WADL here. And
everybody
watch it
when they compare old ECW stuff to like porn because
I used to have like a little like 18-inch or whatever it was, 15-inch TV. I didn't have a remote.
Yep.
So I would sit next to the TV. It came on at Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock. My bedtime was 9 o'clock. I would turn that shit on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock and I'd watch it. I'd hear my mom outside the room and I'd fucking turn it off or I'd turn it down. And that was honestly, man, like that was a defining moment in my childhood. It was finding out ECW on my TV.
Yeah. Do you remember speaking of ECW, what was your first like fond memory of ECW? Because I know mine and it definitely got me in some shit. But you remember like the first time you saw it?
It was probably something to do with Sabu. I remember the first time that I switched it on. It was it was FBI, it was Tracy Smothers and Tommy Rich. And
peace.
I knew those guys from WCW. So I was like, oh, they're gone on WCW. What's going on here? What is this? So I knew them immediately. And then I don't remember who they were wrestling, but then like I remember Sabu later and Taz later and Sandman, and those guys were just insane.
So I got some Sabu stories that we talk about all the time that I can't talk about on air.
One time, I
feel like anybody who's ever been around Sabu has some Sabu stories they can't tell.
I've been around them more than enough times at this point that I completely support.
I'll make my ECW memory a little short. My grandmother walked in one time when I was watching Raven and Sandman go at it, and it was around the time when they were, they did the crucifixion thing.
Oh yeah.
And that did not go well with my grandmother. So.
What the fuck are you watching?
It was far more than that. And of course, I'm like, well, it's not porn. So
it kind of was.
It's even
low
better.
key, dude. I mean, they had girls that were doing stuff that wrestling was not doing.
Arena.
I don't even know if I don't think I was even watching that live. I want to say I like got a tape from like somebody at school or something. I honestly don't even remember that much. But
kids these days don't understand tape trading, man. They just hop on YouTube and they can find anything.
Yeah.
When you would find a good tape with some crazy wrestling that you'd never seen, it was like a gold mine. It was like, I don't want anybody to look at this right now. Like, I got to go home and I'm going to spend all my time watching these tapes.
Dude, one of my favorite things as a kid, like the fact that movie stores aren't a thing now. Like, I used to like to try to go to different movie stores just to see if they had like different tapes and shit that I hadn't watched. And then like, dude, like just finding all the old school stuff, like obviously us being not only pro wrestling but combat sports, we'll get into that in a little bit, but like, dude, I just remember seeing like the early UFC tapes, and then like it was always about seeing if they had like different pay-per-views that I hadn't seen and shit, because you didn't have like the network or any of that stuff back then, so like you just would go to different stores and shit. Right. That's why, like, I still have on VHS right now, I believe I have SummerSlam 98. I have WrestleMania 18 that Rhino gave me when I was like 11 because my dad used to live with him and shit. Like, he gave it to me at the Taylor Powerhouse that's like right around the corner from the house that I'm in now, which that's a wild thing in and of itself. I still have Royal Rumble 99, which was the first Royal Rumble I remember ever getting. And then I have Over the Edge 98 and Unforgiven 98 when Kane got his arm set on fire and shit. So, like, hey,
you might as well keep that collection. That's a decent collection, man. You need to start hitting these record stores. I tell you what, record stores have a lot of hidden gems in their little tape areas. So.
You would know about that.
Yeah, dude, I see them all the time. I'll keep my eye out for you.
When I first broke into wrestling, my like. The tail end of high school, right into like the first year or two of wrestling, when like physical media was still a thing. The thing that I would do if like I had a show 2 hours away and I needed to be there at say like 5 o'clock, I would leave like 2 hours before when I needed to be there for call time, so I could find a used DVD or record store so that I could go and just scour used DVDs and records, because that was like the funnest shit in the world to me. Was just like, you never know, you could find nothing, or you could find 4 or 5 really cool things and be like the best day ever.
The thrill of the hunt, man. That's what they say. That's exactly what it is.
Dude, you'd fit in good with another past guest that we just had on, Matt Cardona, then.
Oh, yeah.
Always hunting.
You'd fit
on another level for that stuff.
Oh, dude, insane. Him, Ethan Page, dude, fucking A, man.
I work at High Spots, so we have insane amounts of.
You've got the gold mine.
Yeah, so we've got everything. So I see that kind of crap all the time, but we've had Brian Myers and Cardona come down, and they just like look through I'm like sitting back there sewing and doing work, and they're just like being children, fucking going through stuff. Oh, look at this figure. No one's seen this in years. Yada yada. Like all the time. Like they've been there 3 or 4 times, and they'll just spend like 4 hours each time.
I totally could see that, especially after like when we did the interview and you see like the room that he did it in. He's just got holy shit, just the shit that he's got like in his background and stuff. I'm like, dude, holy damn, this guy's got like everything that is fucking cool. But dude, speaking of wild moments and stuff, and I will tell one that when I see Violent J, I have to tell him this in person. I've always said that I was going to, but so you got to tell me you've been working with JCW for a while, man. I know you've got to have some wild JCW stories because I do from just the shows that I've been to.
Honestly, man, like this past string of stuff since Lunacy started, it's been pretty calm. But the first time that I wrestled for JCW, either the first, I was at the gathering in 2010 and 2012. One of those years, you might have heard this story before, but so I was coming out of the porta potty, or not the porta potty area, but like the portable shower area, butt ass naked with just a towel wrapped around me. All of a sudden, I see a guy running down this, like past me as fast as he possibly can. And then about 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi behind him, there is a stampede of easily 100 juggalos. It looks like the running of the bulls. Shit is going down. I have no idea what's going down. No, I have no clue. So I just like, man, that was crazy. I don't know. And I went back and I saw the man scout, Jake Manning, who I came with, and I was telling him the story about how I just watched all this happen. And then like he's like, oh, that's weird. I don't know. And then an hour or two goes by and someone else goes, did you hear about the guy who got caught stealing out of everybody's tents?
Oh no.
Oh shit.
And then we're like, oh, so that must have been the guy that I saw. And then fast forward to about the time the show starts, it was like, whoever was opening up that night, it wasn't like a headline or anything. But early on, when the shows, like the concerts were going on, all of a sudden, that same parade of about 100 juggalos who was chasing that dude, all of a sudden, they are walking through the audience, and the audience is splitting. They have a parade of this dude's car parts. They're just like walking through the crowd with this dude's car parts.
That's funny.
So they stripped his car down so he couldn't leave.
Yeah.
They stripped his shit out. You're going to get your
man.
ass whooped one way or the other.
Completely ruined it. Rumor that I heard was that it wasn't even that dude's car, that he stole it from his girlfriend, and him and his buddies took his girlfriend's car to the gathering and then got it destroyed.
Wow. How do you explain that one? So,
you
I
asked
took
for
your
bad
car.
karma.
And I got it fucked up at the gathering.
That guy had it coming.
No.
Bad
Fucked up is like someone like hitting it with a baseball bat or something. This got torn bit by bit. I don't even understand. Like, were these guys mechanics? Did they like come with power tools to get these doors off and like the muffler off? Like, how did that even happen?
You're not wrong.
They flipped the motherfucker over and just ripped it from the bottom out.
Craziest shit I've ever seen.
The craziest thing I've ever had happen at a JCW show. So the first time I ever went to one of their shows was actually in 2010, back when they were running the Modern Exchange and shit here in Michigan. And so I went there, but I had just had Achilles tendon surgery. So they cut my Achilles tendon and lengthened it, and I had a cast on my leg. But I couldn't stand sitting in the house no more because I couldn't go back to school or nothing because my dumb ass thought it was a good idea to do that my senior year of high school. So we go to the show, and there's this couch in the back. If you've ever been to the Modern, you know what I'm talking about. So there's like a couch in the back of the fucking place. So I figured, okay, if I post up on this couch and stick my leg up, I'll be all right. Little did I know that fucking Necro Butcher was going to come over there with some sorry son of a bitch. And here comes the light tube, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't get up and move, and this is all coming my way. Fuck. Just covered the fuck up. Dude, there wasn't not a shit I could do either. I'm just sitting there like, well, this is gonna fucking suck. Just covered up. And then later in the same show, it's funny, we're talking about Staboo. I saw him shank a guy with a spike, which became a staple of his matches and shit. But this poor bastard got fucked up by a spike. But I'll never forget that, because it was like, it was one of those where you realize, well, this is going to suck, and there's no way that I can get out of the way because I've only got one.
This is happening. Yeah.
You just stick your arms up and you're like, well, fuck. Senior year of high school. I'll never forget that one.
Man, RIP to the Modern Exchange. That was a fucking great place to go. But since you brought it up, man, talk to me about JCW Lunacy so far. What do you think it brings to the table out of the tapings that we've had so far? I mean, I went to the show that was here in Detroit. How do you feel like it's been received so far, and what do you guys got cooking?
I think it's been a pretty positive experience so far, man. I think There's been a few people that say, hey, it's not like the JCW of old. ICP is not doing the commentary on it, but things have to change and evolve. I think this is still the same JCW as it was 15, 20 years ago, but it's got a modern twist to it. We can't just keep living in like the year 2000 and doing the things the way that they were doing them then. We're looking for we still want the characters. We're still looking for crazy over the top stuff, but there's going to be more of an emphasis, I believe, on real professional wrestling, going hard, having really good matches. But it's not just one or the other. We can do all of it. We can do everything, anything you want. There's no boundaries at JCW. If there's good ideas, it's a good idea and it's rolled with. If you want to go out there and kill it, you can. There's no no one's stopping you or telling you that you're not going to be a top guy. If you could go out there and be a top guy, if you could talk like a top guy and you can wrestle like a top guy, you can be a top guy.
Hell yeah. I like how it looks different too. Like I love the mat. Like the mat looks like the swirl mat and all that stuff, and just like the different looking to it. And I got all the love in the world for their commentary team, being that Joe Galley is a past guest of the show too. And when he was here in Detroit, had like the most Bobby Heenan-esque fucking blazer on the commentary table with him and fucking Cardona, that black and gold joint. That was fresh there.
Everything they're doing is top notch, man. Like the production is great. Like you said, the ring with the crazy canvas. The first time I walked in, I was like, holy shit, nobody has ever seen anything like this. It looks like something you could have created like on an old video game or something. Like no one in their right mind would go like, this is what a wrestling ring is going to look like, but it works. It's awesome.
I was just going to say that. I feel like people get so stuck on like the ICP image, you know what I mean? That they don't see, like, cause I got an episode on right now and I'll tell you right now, it's top notch professional wrestling. It's not nothing, crazy gimmick. It looks cooler to me. I love the vibrant swirl stuff. So I don't know, like if people give that like a, cause you're always going to have those people in wrestling who just don't like shit. They just don't like shit because they don't like shit.
Wrestling fans can be the best and they can also be the worst.
Toxic.
Right? Everybody's stuck in their ways about something.
Talk about it all the time, dude.
And I feel like we picked the other most toxic fan base, and that's combat sports for motherfuckers that have never fought before and got the biggest mouse. Oh my God. Although, before I forget, shout out to Matt Friendo and Lights Out Championship. It was dope for me and our other co-host Corey to be on the commentary for Kevin Lee's first fight outside the UFC. Shout out to him on a big rear naked choke win. I don't know what my man was talking about shots to the back of the head. Maybe that's just because he got choked too hard. But shit happens inside an MMA cage.
So I like to talk a lot of music on here. I know we kind of sidestep a little bit, but me and Kyle have maybe not a great great hobby, but we like to go to concerts all summer long. I just seen you at Riot
for my wallet.
You were at Riot Fest about a week ago.
I was, yeah.
What'd you think about that, man? It was a great time or what?
This was the second year I've done Riot Fest. It's amazing every year. I had heard stories about it for several years, and I just decided that I was going to have to start coming. And after last year, I'm probably going to try to go every year. Man, there's so many different, very much like JCW, very eclectic. There's a lot of this, there's a lot of that, there's a lot of everything. It all comes together and it combines. On one day I'm watching Fall Out Boy, and then I walk over and I see the Marley Brothers, and then I walk over and I see Cypress Hill. There's like so many different bands from so many different genres, and they're just all playing all over. Then you can see Slayer. It's crazy.
I'm pretty sure Guar was on there at some point.
Guar was there. Guar had such a kick-ass show.
Dude, there's different flavors for everybody. That's for sure.
Absolutely
cool.
Did you have any other good concerts you hit this summer, concert season?
What have I been to lately? I was supposed to go see the Hives tonight in Asheville, but nothing is going to happen in Asheville for any time in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I went to the No Values Fest in California. It was a big punk rock festival with the Misfits and Social Distortion and a whole bunch of old school guys. That was hella kick ass. The Viagra Boys. If you've not listened to the Viagra Boys, they're fucking awesome. And not
Killer
only
name.
are they awesome, but they are so much better live.
I have to put that one on the list. I haven't heard them.
I would definitely have
Go
to
ahead and
check
start
that
with
out.
sports and then just work your way through the catalog. They're amazing. I love those guys.
All right, J-Bone, that's
Viagra Boys.
that's your
the homework.
fucking task for before we do the show with Kenny Cross. Shout out to him on his big dub at XFC last weekend. That's your task. You got to go listen to them and give me a recap on this, bro.
You will not be disappointed.
And if it's good, you got to play it in the next DJ set, dog.
Yeah. How'd you get somebody to find that in your search history? The Viagra Boys.
Hey, it's par for the course for fucking JCW, but you're right, dude. We've been all over the place with concerts this year between let's see, I was at Korn on Friday.
Okay.
And then I went and saw Living Color the day before that.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then we went and saw Breaking Benjamin, Stained, and was it Daughtry a couple weeks ago.
My little brother was at that last night, actually, in Atlanta.
That was a badass concert, in my opinion. Only bummer of the Korn concerts, I'm pissed I missed Spirit Box because it was the same thing like Jelly Roll when we went there, and it took me fucking 2 hours to get into Pine Knob, which sucked ass.
Yeah.
They oversold the fuck out of that thing. First of all, those tickets were expensive as fuck, but that's the only excuse I can like accept for that. But I still stick by what I've been saying on this show for a while. Oh, and how can I forget? Shout out to past guests of the show, Chris Cale from Five Finger Death Punch. They just brought us out to Pine Knob a few weeks ago for their show. It was them and Marilyn Manson and shit. So
oh shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool to get to check that out and go backstage and kick it with the homie Chris. We got to run that episode back, dude. But yeah, I'm with you. Concerts aplenty. But for me, man, I still got to stick with what I've been saying since we went to that show in November, J-Bone. Best concert I've ever been to is the fucking Metallica tour that they just had. That 2-day joint with night one being them and Pantera and Van Halen's kid, and then night 2 was them and Five Finger and Ice Nine Kills. That shit was badass with the big circle stage. And now they're going to do round 2 with them and Limp Bizkit and Pantera. Oh, and we went to go see Limp Bizkit. Listen to me. I fucking forgot them too. Yeah. Fuck. We've been to too many damn concerts this fucking summer.
That's a lot of concerts. It's doing good, man.
This is why fucking my pocketbook hurts, but at least I'll be able to say I did a bunch of shit while the weather was still warm. But speaking of shit,
at least you're not spending your money on like meth,
right?
So it's fine.
Well, that I don't do that stuff, That's only on fucking Saturdays. Just kidding.
Better concerts than meth, I guess.
It doesn't count if it's Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'm good on all that shit. But with all that being said, dude, you got to tell me. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Talk to me about being the American Juggalo champion and what has been the weirdest reaction you've gotten when you tell people you're the American Juggalo champion. How'd you win the belt? Talk to me about it.
I tell everyone that I meet that I'm the American Juggalo champion. It doesn't go an hour without being centered around me. I'm probably going to have the belt around me. I'm going to show it to you. People are a little confused at first. They see the Hatchet Man. Most people are aware of what that is, at least a little bit, but then they don't understand why it's on a wrestling belt. They don't know that ICP has their own federation, and they've been running it for 25 years. So, you get to school them out a little history about the band that everyone hates in the world and how they have a wrestling federation, which is equally hated from a lot of people for no apparent reason. And it's just going to continue to kick ass. And just like me, just like them, just like JCW, you're just going to keep on moving forward. Doesn't matter what the haters say.
Fuck yeah. I dig that. I mean, obviously with them being from Detroit, they got a lot of love here. So speaking of Detroit, man, you guys are getting ready to come back here for Halloween. It's going to be Hallowwicked at the Masonic Temple. I've gotten to do commentary in that building. That building is just fucking a sick building. So I don't know about you, J-Bone, but I think my Halloween plans have been made. Talk to me about Hallowwicked, man, and what are you getting into and what can we expect?
Well, Hallowwicked is, I have no idea. But before that, the night before, we have Devil's Night, the pay-per-view that you can watch on YouTube. That's going to be amazing. I've been told who I'm possibly working. I don't know that I'm allowed to reveal that information as of yet, but it's going to be pretty kick-ass. We've got some pretty cool names coming in. We've got Nick Nemeth. We've got Matt Riddle.
Past guest of the show.
There's a whole other group of people that has not been announced yet that's going to be on that pay-per-view. I think everybody should watch it. Not to mention, after that, ICP is doing their metal show that night, which is going to be insane.
Metal show.
So I mean, the whole
That's what I said.
tour.
Metal show.
Metal
That's
show.
Yeah, dude.
interesting.
The whole
dig
Train
it.
of Terror tour is going to be amazing. I think everyone should go out. You know, you can travel, you can do the whole tour, you can just do the one that's near you. It's going to be sick. They're doing different shows every night. It all culminates in Detroit for the 30th and the 31st. I am very much looking forward to it.
Halloween.
I've got a Hallowwicked story, which is pretty fucking insane.
Please
also,
tell.
if you want to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, I'm a senior in high school. It's 2004. Me, my buddy Josh, who I ended up starting to train with to wrestle, was going, and then our other buddy Cameron was going to go. Now, me and Josh are two very much broke-ass scrub motherfuckers living in the trailer park. Our friend Cameron is pretty loaded. His parents are professors. He's doing whatever it is. He decides that he's going to fly to Detroit for Hallowwicked and make me and Josh drive up there. So he flies up there the day before. He lands. He calls my buddy Josh and says, "Hey, I forgot the tickets." This is back, you had to have a physical ticket. There wasn't no cell phone tickets. So he forgot his tickets. So my buddy Josh, I'm leaving school early. He's going to pick me up. And then we're going to leave straight from my school and head to Detroit. That's like a 10-hour drive, 11-hour drive from Georgia. So he goes and he picks up the tickets, and then he's coming to pick me up. In the meantime, something happened, and the school security guard was not happy that my buddy Josh was sitting outside the school. They got into an altercation, and he went to jail with the tickets to Hallowwicked. I am sitting outside, like where your parents come to pick you up outside of school. I was supposed to leave after third period. School's now out. All of the people who took the cars home, they're all gone. I'm just sitting by myself outside the school for hours and hours, and I don't have a cell phone. I don't know how to get a hold of anybody. I ended up going back in the school and using the office phone, and I'm calling around trying to figure out where my buddy Josh is at. His sister finally figures out that he's in jail. We make call after call after call. I have no money. She's got no money. My buddy Cameron's got money, but he's in Detroit and has no way to get us anything. So we end up doing our own GoFundMe in person, physical form of all of our friends, and getting his bailout at 9 p.m. or something. And as soon as we did that, we got in the car straight out of jail and drove to Detroit, made it there by the morning, and all is well.
Wow. That's a stroke of luck, man.
If that doesn't make you want to go to Hallowwicked, I don't know what the fuck will, dude.
Hey, I need friends like that. Jeez. We just started GoFundMe just to have money. Bail me out of jail.
Fuck
The
yeah,
original
dude. I don't know.
GoFundMe. Hey, can I get some money, please?
Seriously, man.
Yeah, I don't think my friends would bail me out of jail. Luckily, I'd
bail you out of jail, Kyle.
Hey, let me tell you, I don't know that I would have been so pressed to bail him out of jail if my ticket to Halloween wasn't with him.
True. You got to get the Halloween.
Oh, shit. J-Bone, we're getting ready to do the Halloween party thing again. Check us out at fucking Cheapy Creepy again, man. That's going to be...
Boy.
Hey, man, I found out last year at Cheapy Creepy that I've got a pretty good backdrop. I'm just saying. Because fuck. I was, of all things, I thought it was funny given the fact that we do a wrestling and combat sports show. I thought, I should dress up as something wrestling. I was dressed up as fucking Orange Cassidy last year. And I was already a few drinks deep. The Metallica cover band was playing, and I was out in the middle of the mosh pit. I slipped on hardwood floor, and this dude hit me right as I slipped. So my knee went the other way. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is great. I'm going to blow my knee out at a fucking Halloween party. And then, of course, because we were drinking, I managed to end up back in the middle of said mosh pit, and the same asshole came taking a running start for me. And I'm like, this ain't about to happen to me twice. And I ducked my shoulder and he fucking flew like fucking foot overhead. He thumped so hard off of that hardwood floor. I was like,
that
wow,
was
I
a
almost
gross hardwood floor too. There's plenty of
probably bodily fluids and other things, but hey, dude, he shouldn't have fucking came for me again, dude. I mean, hey, fuck around and find out, ain't that what they say?
Find out.
But speaking of find out, dude, we got to talk about it. I told J-Bone before we went on the air, dude. I was telling him I've been watching The Heels like a motherfucker ever since it went on Netflix. I've been like binge watching the shit so far. So talk to me about that. How did that come to be, and what was your experience like on the show?
So it was early on in the pandemic, 2020 sometime, and my buddy Luke Hawks from Louisiana, he runs Wildcat Wrestling. He also is a stunt guy. He's been in every wrestling related movie, TV show, Young Rock. He's in a brand new movie. I just can't remember the name of Metro something, whatever. Anyways, he's the guy in charge, and he's looking for a couple different guys, and he needs this chubby bearded guy that's going to play Robbie Ramos. I don't remember his name either. The masked guy. So anyways, a couple weeks goes by, and I keep pitching my buddy Zane Riley, who looks just like this guy, but he's got tattoos, and they don't want to use him because he's got tattoos. So week after week goes by, and I keep pitching him, hey, Zane looks just like this guy. You should use him. And eventually he does end up using him. And he's down there forever and ever and ever doing it. And then all of a sudden they give me the call, and they're like, hey, we need, some extra guys to come down. And then, so I came down. It was awesome. They treat you like gold there. After you've been on a set and you've worked like in Hollywood a little bit, you realize how some of these actors, like who are at the top, you always hear all these crazy stories about how like they only drink sparkling water and they can only have, blue M&Ms or whatever it may be, whatever the craziness thing is. There's a reason. It's because on set, there's someone that will do pretty much anything in the world that you want them to do. Like you just ask them, hey, I want this crazy cut of steak. Oh, we don't have that. Well, can I get it? And they're like, let me make a call, and then they'll get it done. So the experience was amazing. They take care of you. They pay out the ass. Always good, especially in the middle of the COVID pandemic when everyone was hurting for money. So then off of, just a couple days of doing some background stuff and some stunt stuff, another one of our buddies, Andre Chase from NXT, he was originally CM Punk's stunt double.
Hell yeah.
And then he signed to NXT, and they needed a new stunt double. So I put a little beard on and slicked my hair back like Punk or Ricky Rabies, and got me another couple weeks of doing that. So that I did right off of that, I did, several weeks of heel stuff, and then right off of that, I did a couple more weeks of the Righteous Gemstones on HBO as the God Squad.
That's
dope.
Nice.
I looked it up because it was bothering me that I couldn't spit it out. It was Diego Cottonmouth.
Diego Cottonmouth, that's his name. I knew it was something with a snake. I wanted to say something like Viper or something. I couldn't remember.
What's that like on a set though? Like performing, you're obviously doing your wrestling spots. Like, what's it like to? Because I mean, if I'm just imagining this, like directors probably don't know how a match flows, like a real match.
No, they don't.
I mean?
But Luke Hawks does, and he is like the wrestling coordinator. They would have people in charge of the wrestling. If the director doesn't like it, he'll get it switched or whatever. But Luke will take care of you. He is like the middleman between the pro wrestling world and the Hollywood world. He knew who to get, when to get them. One of the first, well, not the first days, but one of the first times that I saw Punk there, though, they did a thing where he was at ringside doing commentary, but I didn't know this. I just knew that I was going to be in the ring wrestling, and we had gone over this little segment, for a couple days and got it all figured out. They figured out what camera angles they wanted to use. And then, but that was like all on, we had like our own little like gym and set up like an actual like CrossFit gym, but it had a ring in it. And we would just work out there and practice all day. And it was cool. So then like we finally get on set, we're going to do it. And I'm in the ring and I'm looking around and they're about to yell action. And about the same time as they yell action, I look over and I go, oh, there's CM Punk sitting at ringside. And I had no idea that he was even going to be there. So now I'm like, oh shit, I better make this look good. I can't be fucking up in front of CM Punk.
Speaking of him, go ahead.
Did it turn out good? It turned out well.
It turned out great. It turned out great. I think they cut the scene completely, but which that's a thing that happens.
That's
on the second season there was this battle royal scene that we practiced. I felt like for like 2 weeks, and we were just like on set ready to do it for like several days in a row. We were just like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Okay, we're gonna bring you on, and then like we would come in and we would start to do it, and they'd be like, we're gonna film something else right now. And then they just kept doing that all day and all day. And then they're like, all right, that's a wrap. We're like, that's a wrap on what? They're like, that's a wrap on everything. It's done. We're done filming.
No battle royal.
Well, I guess we're not filming that scene now.
Gotta love Hollywood.
That leads into something I wanted to ask with that, like you being a wrestler and stuff like that and getting to be on a wrestling series like that. Like, how do you feel as far as like how they portrayed things? Because so often when you see wrestling stuff, man, you see people try to be like extra hokey or like, hype shit up almost too much to where it looks, not even fake's not even the right word. But when you watch the shows, like, okay, The Wrestler was a good movie, but then there's like 3 other movies that you can talk about where you're like, okay, this doesn't look as good. Heels, on the other hand, like I said, literally before we went on air, I was telling J-Bone, like, yo, I started watching it when it went over to Netflix, and I've been just watching the shit out of it. So, like, for you being a wrestler, how do you feel they did as far as portraying what wrestling is?
I feel like they did a pretty good job. Obviously, it's like it's a TV version of what independent wrestling is. It's it's more glamorous or whatever. But Stephen Amell is a huge wrestling fan, and this whole thing is like a passion project for it that like he made happen. Like he's been trying to work on this show for like 10 years, I think. So he had a lot of creative control, and there was like no way that he was going to try to screw it up and make wrestling look stupid or over the top. Like he wanted to portray it as, obviously as dramatic as it needs to be on TV, but as real as possible. So, I mean, I think he did a really good job. I feel like if you're an expert in anything and they make a TV show about it, you're going to be like, oh, that's wrong. And this is wrong. And this is wrong. But for the general public, it's pretty it's pretty close to what you're gonna get.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, J-Bone, you got to watch it and then come back on the show and let me know what you think. But speaking of which,
everybody needs to watch Heels, because if everyone watches Heels, Netflix could possibly pick it up for a 3rd season. And everybody in wrestling really loves it when you finish a story, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you led right into what I was going to ask you next. What are your thoughts on Netflix picking it up? Like, what do you think that signals for it? And like, I mean, I've seen such shout out to past guests of the show, Dave LaGreca and the guys over at Busted Open and all that stuff, man. Like they've like championed the shit out of that show. So I feel like there's a lot of motherfuckers that are watching it on Netflix. But with that said, what do you think it does for the show?
I think it gives it potential to have a 3rd season. Anybody that I've talked to about it, specifically since it's been on Netflix, everyone has really liked it. I mean, it was on Stars for 2 years beforehand. It didn't get a lot of traction. I think that's more to do with Stars than it has to do with the actual show. Obviously, it would mean a lot for me for it to get picked up. I mean, obviously because I was on season 1 and season 2, and a small little fraction of a role. But I was still there. I still got paid. I still got, and not only me, but a lot of my friends were also stunt people on the show. So even if I don't come back for season 3, my best friend's name Riley is going to be Diego Cottonmouth in season 3 if it comes to be. And I would very much like it, for him to get that, that thing. And Luke Hawx has been nothing but great to me. So I hope that he gets to go back and have a season 3 too, man. Like it'd be good for everybody. It's good for wrestling in general. Like a lot of people forget, like back when Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out and that like blew up super huge. Skateboarding, like in real life, blew up huge because of the video game. The same thing I think with like the old school like PlayStation 2 WWE games and the 64 games. Like those were the best games in the world, and it made people like that just played video games want to watch wrestling. So if we have a really cool wrestling TV show, I feel like it'll translate into more people wanting to watch wrestling on, Dynamite or Raw or whatever, or Lunacy. Hopefully Lunacy.
Definitely. I agree with that.
Okay, last question I got for you as far as heels goes, dude. So with that said, what do you how do you feel like the DWL would fare in today's indie scene, and what type of company would you compare it to?
Dude, there's 100 DWLs all around the country. You can go to any state and there's a DWL, a company that's been ran by the same family for generations. They've got their own little building. They're doing their own little storylines. They're stars in that little town. I mean, I could tell you the promotion's names, but you're not going to know them because they're just like in Rome, Georgia, or Eden, South Carolina, or wherever the town may be. Those guys, they can walk into a grocery store in that town and people will recognize them. They'll know who they are. But you drive 15 minutes down the road, they're just regular Joe Schmoes. And that's independent wrestling, spot on. Like if nothing else, they got that part of it right. It just like the family dynamic of it, the fact that these, not really celebrities can get treated like celebrities in their own little town. Like I just love it.
It's kind of all we got left, Kyle, as far as territory stuff goes. You know what I mean? Like the independent wrestling.
I mean, think about it like here, like the homies over at XICW. Shout out to the Monroe family. I mean, they've been around for fucking years here in Detroit.
Man. XICW's been around for a long time. I've worked for them 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, man. Shout out to MM3 who's doing all the deathmatch stuff. And we got love for the DBA over here, but all right, I got to ask you, since we do combat sports, man, do you get down with MMA or combat sports of any kind?
I get down with it. I've got a lot going on with my own career, so I'm not down with it so much. But if I'm ever have a weekend off and there's a good UFC fight going on, or, Francis Ogano's switching sides in his boxing, I'll try to catch that.
Oh yeah.
Dude. I met that guy when he fought here in Detroit, and we saw him fight when he knocked out Overeem. That guy's fucking fist. Like, first of all, I come up to like the dude's nipple, first of all. Second of all, his fucking hand. I got a big ass head, and his hand is fucking huge. And only thing I could think, so I was there when Brock Lesnar won the heavyweight title, and I saw his gloves after the fact. He wore 5XL gloves, which were like the biggest gloves the UFC ever made. And then when I saw this fucking guy's hand next to my head, I'm like, man, fuck that. I do not need this guy hitting me for nothing. Nobody. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life. Just smiley as can be and all that. But
you put Overeem's head into space.
Dude, fuck that.
Are you guys familiar with America Top Team?
I trained there before, yep.
Okay. So they did some stuff with TNA back when I was there.
I remember
years and years ago with Bobby Lashley, and they did a thing where like all of America Top Team was out in the ring beating the crap out of people, and like one by one they would do something. And so like I ran the ring, and Colby Covington gave me or like a shoot hip toss, and it was like he was nobody at that point. Like, I mean, he was just some random dude to me. I had no idea, and then all of a sudden he goes and wins championships.
Fuck yeah, dude. I remember that whole run.
Yeah, and then like they would do it was actually a Halloween. They would do American Top Team would do like a Halloween wrestling show, and they brought me and Andrew Everett, who I was tagging with at the time, down there to do their show. And beforehand, the guy's name is escaping me. He just died like a year or two ago, from Vegas.
Oh my god.
You know what I'm talking about.
I feel like I do, damn it. I'm drawing a brain oh, damn it. I hate when this happens. I can picture it. Oh
crazy dude. Anyways, so like it's a lot better story if I remember the dude's name, but he had done a couple little things in wrestling, I think, and but he was gonna wrestle Bobby Lashley that night. That was like the main event, and he had this idea of something he wanted to do, and then he was like, "Hey, come here for a second." He grabs me, and then he just starts throwing me around, putting me in holds. I have no idea what's going on, and I had no option, you know. Even if I tried to like put up a fight, there was nothing that I was gonna do. He was gonna manhandle me 100%.
When you get guys that like that are like that,
Stephen Bonner.
Fucking shit. And he wrestled too. What the fuck, man? I should have did, man. Shout out to my guy Bullet.
That was escaping me too.
Shared a picture of him too. That makes me so mad, dude. Because him and Forrest Griffin had one of the best fucking fights I've ever seen. And if it wasn't for them two, I don't think MMA would be what it is.
But all right, we always ask this question to wrestlers when we have them come through. And we usually end the show with this one. We call it locker room etiquette, but it's not what you think. We call it that because when we get like your pet peeves, either whether that be shit that annoys you or advice that you'd have for a young dude. So let me give you some of the answers we've gotten so far. We've gotten wash your balls, keep your baby mama out the locker room. Ninja Max said make sure you're always training. Silas Young said never think that you're too wise to be learning things. Josh Briggs from NXT told us bring your own squirt bottle, bring your own wrist tape. We could keep going down the list, but if you could add any of those things that will like annoy you. Danielle Monet, who was just on, said like people who just think that they could just like sit anywhere in a locker room. She's like, that's a way to like get people pissed at you.
Not clean up after themselves. That was something she said too.
All of those are very true. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of those. What's my it kind of almost boils down to like, are you guys familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, the Dunning-Kruger effect is like someone who has a little bit of knowledge in something all of a sudden thinks they're an expert. And then like someone who's been doing it for years and years and years realizes that they still have like way more to learn. So there's like, they're humble, even though they really are almost, you know, probably an expert. And this jackass who's been wrestling for 7 months thinks he's king shit. And this happens all the time where I will wrestle a guy who's had like 2 good matches that, you know, 7 people said, hey, you did a good job on Twitter. Like, and then all of a sudden he thinks he's the best wrestler in the world and doesn't want to listen to anything I say. So the biggest thing is to be humble, I guess. Just like this is a collaborative thing. Like you might have the right idea, you might have the wrong idea, but if we put our brains together and we collaborate, we can probably make some kind of synergy here. So just like realize that even if you think you have the right way, if you have the right idea, like let it go and collaborate with people.
I totally can relate to this coming from the MMA world, because if I told you the amount of people that I've seen come into gyms over the years and like come in and be an asshole. I'll never forget having a guy who come in and he said he was in the Navy and he said he knew capoeira and he said he knew all this shit. And he outweighed me by a shit ton. And I was only a blue belt at the time. And I was weighing probably like, I don't know, 145 pounds. This dude fucking is trying to big body the shit out of me. And like, I can tell, but like like you said, they think they know and they don't. And so the guy just kept like trying to use his weight on me. And so I timed it. And after 3 times of him trying to do the same thing, I flipped him and threw him in an arm triangle. And before I even squeezed, he fucking tapped. And I mean, this dude is outweighs me by easily 50, 60 pounds at least. Yeah. And like, I'll never forget walking into the locker room, my buddy Ethan being like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, he just laughed at the whole thing because he watched this whole thing happen. And it was funny as all shit because I like I said, I got cerebral palsy and Crohn's disease and all that shit. So it's like, if I told you the amount of times in my life or in competing where I've had people be like, oh, fuck, I'm just going to throw this fucking guy around, blah, 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 whatever. And then it doesn't go that way. And then, you know, fuck around and find out. But Hey, dude, we've kept you for a long ass time. Last question that is the most pressing of them all. Do you have a favorite Faygo flavor?
My favorite Faygo flavor, damn it, probably jazz and blueberry.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all, dude.
I would go moon mist, but that's everyone will say moon mist. So I'm going.
I can't lie. I'm a basic. You can call me a basic bitch, I guess, because I drink like Coke and Pepsi pretty much wherever I go. So I've always smashed the shit out of some Faygo Cola too. But hell yeah, with them being from Detroit, we've got down on some Faygo.
Yeah.
But dude, thank you so much for the time. If you've got anything else that you want to plug, and feel free to please plug JCW.
While you plug it, bring that belt up to the camera. Let's get a good shot at that belt.
Fuck
man.
yeah.
I'm going to plug the Train of Terror tour coming to 9 cities in 9 days for everybody. You should come out, and if you can't make it out for whatever reason, maybe you don't have a good friend that will get you out of jail in time that you can make Hallowwicked, then you should at least watch JCW Lunacy every Wednesday on YouTube. Also, just check out my social medias at Caleb Konely. I'm going to be posting all kinds of crazy crap from England for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be crazy. And I'm probably going to blow up your timeline. So, follow at your own discretion.
J-Bone and I say this all the time. There's never enough wrestling in my timeline or combat sports. So with that said, also shout out to your partner Facade as well, man. Facade and Danny Moe for checking us out. They saw the promo and all that stuff earlier. But yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to it. Let's get it. You got man. JCW coming through. Hallowicked's coming through in Detroit.
Am I gonna see you guys there?
Fuck yes, you will.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah, dude. Appreciate the time. And like I said, you heard the man. Follow on socials. Make sure you're checking us out at KO3C Pod. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor. There's 225 of you motherfuckers watching right now. Hit the subscribe button. Do it. Peace.